Dust devils danced across the Texas plain like ghosts of the damned, spinning stories older than memory itself. Where the Red River carved its way through limestone and sage, there lived a man the frontier refused to forget, though powerful men had tried their damnedest to erase him from existence. His name was Cole Garrison, and he rode alone. 3 years prior, they'd branded him an outlaw. Railroad barons with pockets deep as mine shafts and hearts black as coal tar had wanted his land. 2,000 acres of prime grazing territory standing between their iron rails and fortune. When Cole refused their blood money, they came with lawyers. When lawyers failed, they came with guns. They burned his ranch to ash, killed his brother in cold blood, left Cole's name scattered across wanted posters from San Antonio to Santa Fe, alongside lies thick enough to choke on. But ghosts don't die easy in Texas. Now Cole sat astride a buckskin mare, watching Dallas shimmer in the distance like a fever dream beneath the copper glow of sunset. The town he'd once called home had grown fat on railroad money, sprouting false-fronted buildings and gas-lit streets where cattle trails used to run. The air tasted of yawn smoke and broken promises. His hand rested on the worn grip of his Colt .45, a weapon that had spoken more truth in 3 years than most men managed in a lifetime. The gunmetal light of dusk caught the barrel. Cold, certain, unforgiving. "Time to settle accounts," he murmured, his voice roughened by desert wind and silence. In town, beneath the Crystal Palace Saloon's chandelier light, a woman named Eliza Hart poured whiskey for men who'd forgotten her brother's murder. She'd watched them celebrate Cole's exile, toast to progress while justice bled out in the Texas dirt. Her emerald eyes, once bright with dreams of teaching children their letters, had hardened to jade. But tonight, something shifted in the smoky air. The saloon doors burst open. Cole Garrison stepped through, silhouetted against the dying day like a prophecy carved from shadow and starlight. The piano player's fingers froze mid-chord. Conversations died like candle flames in winter wind. Eliza's breath caught. Their eyes met across the crowded room, recognition striking like lightning finding ground. Garrison. The name fell from her lips, barely a whisper, yet it echoed through the silence like a gunshot. At the far table, Clayton Burke, the railroad man who'd orchestrated it all, rose slowly, his silk vest straining over his gut. His hired guns flanked him, hands drifting toward their holsters. "You're a dead man walking, Garrison," Burke announced, his voice dripping false bravado. "Got half the territory's lawmen hunting your head." Cole's lips curved into something too bitter for a smile. "Funny thing about being dead, Clayton. Makes a man fearless. Nothing left to lose but the truth." He drew a weathered envelope from his coat, paper creased from hard miles. "Got me a confession here. Signed by your own man, the one who put lead in my brother while he slept. The one you paid to do it." Burke's face went white as alkali dust. "You got one chance," Cole continued, his voice steady as stone. "You get on that train tomorrow, head east, never come back. Or I make sure every newspaper from here to Washington knows what you done." Eliza moved then, slipping through the frozen crowd like wind through wheat. She stood beside Cole, not behind him, beside him, her hand finding his. Her touch was warm, alive, real. Everything the past 3 years hadn't been. "He's not alone anymore, Burke," she said, her voice ringing clear and true. "And neither am I." Burke's guns hesitated, calculating odds that suddenly didn't favor them. Through the saloon windows, townspeople had gathered, drawn by the commotion, faces pressed against glass, witnesses to a moment that would reshape Dallas's history. In that suspended breath, Cole felt the weight of years shift. Vengeance tasted like copper and ash, but the woman's hand in his felt like redemption. Burke spat on the sawdust floor. "This ain't over." "Yeah," Cole replied softly. "It is." Dawn broke over Texas like a promise kept, spilling gold and crimson across endless sky. The 6:15 eastbound train stood steaming at the depot, Clayton Burke aboard it, heading back to whatever hell spawned him. The confession, printed now in the Dallas Herald, had done what bullets couldn't, brought truth to light. Cole stood at the town's edge where pavement surrendered to prairie, Eliza beside him. The bounty on his head had been lifted, his name cleared by the territory marshal after 3 newspapermen and a judge reviewed the evidence. But some scars ran deeper than law could reach. "You thinking of staying?" Eliza asked, her hair catching sunrise like spun copper. Cole studied the horizon, that endless meeting of earth and heaven where anything seemed possible. "Staying ain't something I'm good at anymore." "Then let me come with you." He turned, searching her face. Found courage there that put his 3 years of survival to shame. "Eliza, I got nothing. No land, no home, just a horse and a clear name." She stepped closer, close enough he could see flecks of gold in those impossible green eyes. "That's 2 things more than most, and you got something else you're not counting." "What's that?" "Me, if you want me." The morning wind whispered through buffalo grass, carrying scents of sage and possibility. In the distance, a hawk circled, free, untethered, wild. Cole had spent 3 years running from ghosts. Maybe it was time to ride toward something instead. He took her hand, calloused fingers intertwining with hers. "I want you. God help me. I want everything that comes with you. The staying, the building, the hoping." Her smile broke like sunrise itself. "Then let's ride, cowboy. There's territory west of here needs settling. Clean land where nobody knows our names yet, where we can write our own story." They mounted up, Cole on his buckskin, Eliza on a painted mare she'd kept hidden for 3 years, waiting, just waiting. The town watched them leave, and some would say in years to come that they saw something mythical in that departure. A man returned from the dead, and a woman who'd kept faith when faith was the only weapon left. As Dallas faded into memory behind them, Cole felt something he'd forgotten how to feel. Peace. Not the peace of endings, but of beginnings. Of debts paid and slates wiped clean. Of a woman's hand in his and a frontier stretching forever forward. "You think they'll remember us?" Eliza asked as they crested a ridge overlooking untouched prairie. Cole considered, watching wind paint patterns through the grass. "Maybe. Or maybe we'll just be another story around the campfire. The cowboy they tried to bury and the woman who wouldn't let him stay dead. I can live with that. So can I." They rode into the west, into sunlight sharp as revelation, into a future they'd forge from raw territory and stubborn hope. Behind them, Dallas would grow into a city. The frontier would shrink, and the days of cowboys and wide-open range would fade into memory. But some legends don't die. They just ride on. Thanks for watching this tale from the untamed frontier where justice rode on horseback and love proved stronger than railroad steel. Now here's my question for you. Partner, if you had to choose between seeking vengeance for past wrongs or riding toward a fresh start with someone you love, which trail would you take? Drop your answer below and subscribe for more stories where the West was won one choice at a time.